Don't leave me here to die like they did, she whispered through cracked lips, blood on her temple, hand reaching toward the man in the black suit. He crouched down, his cold eyes softening for just a second. Who did this to you? His voice was dangerous. She smiled bitterly. The people who called me daughter. Anna had learned to make herself smaller. At the Whitmore family dinner table, she always sat with her shoulders curved inward, hands folded in her lap, eyes on her plate. Mrs. Whitmore, mother she was supposed to call her, though the word never felt right in her mouth, was discussing the upcoming charity gala with her biological daughter, Claire. We'll need you front and center, darling, Mrs. Whitmore said, touching Claire's hand. The photographers always love you. Anna cut her chicken into smaller pieces. Smaller. Quieter, less. Anna can help with coat check, Mr. Whitmore added, without looking up from his wine. 3 years. 3 years since they'd adopted her from the group home, promising her a family, a future, a name that meant something. She was 21 now, still living in their guest house, still waiting for the part where she became their daughter instead of their charity case. Of course, Anna said softly. Whatever you need. Claire's eyes flicked to her. Not unkind, but not warm either. Indifferent. That was worse than cruelty. At least cruelty meant you mattered enough to hate. After dinner, Anna walked back to the guest house through the garden. The main house glowed with warm light, laughter echoing from the windows. Her little converted pool house sat in darkness at the edge of the property. She unlocked the door and sat on her bed, pulling out the one photo she had from before. Her and her birth mother, before the overdose. She was 4 in the picture, gap-toothed and smiling. You're disposable, a voice whispered in her head. That's why she left. That's why they keep you at arm's length. Anna's phone buzzed. Claire. Family meeting tomorrow morning. Mom says it's important. Be there at 8. Anna stared at the message. Family meetings were rare. The last one had been when they decided to send her to community college instead of the university Claire attended. She texted back, okay. Jin stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his penthouse, watching rain streak down the glass. Below, the Korean district pulsed with neon. His district, his territory, his empire built on fear and respect. His phone rang. Only he didn't need to look to know who it was. Talk, he answered in Korean. The Choi family is pushing back on the waterfront deal, his second-in-command Yoon said. They want a meeting. They'll have their meeting. Jin's voice was ice. Make sure they understand the cost of disrespect. He ended the call and poured himself whiskey, the amber liquid catching the city lights. He was 34 and untouchable. He'd built this life from nothing, from the streets where his own father had left him at 9 years old, with nothing but a black eye and a lesson about survival. Caring makes you weak, his father had said. Love is for people who can afford to lose. Jin had never been able to afford it. His penthouse was immaculate, all glass and steel and expensive art he never looked at. Empty, but empty was safe. A text came through from Yoon. The Whitmore deal closes tomorrow. Finalizing the contract now. Jin didn't smile, but something shifted in his chest. The Whitmores, old money, real estate empire, desperate to sell off one of their properties to cover debts they'd hidden well. He'd offered them half of what it was worth, and they'd taken it. Pride made people stupid. Tomorrow he'd own another piece of this city. Tomorrow would also be the day everything changed. Anna walked into the main house at 7:55 a.m., her stomach tight with undefined anxiety. The Whitmores sat in the living room. Mother, father, Claire, all dressed like they were going somewhere important. Anna was in jeans and a sweater. Sit down, Anna, Mr. Whitmore said. She sat. Mrs. Whitmore looked at her husband, then at Anna. We've made a difficult decision, but it's what's best for the family. Anna's hands went cold. We're selling the estate, Mr. Whitmore continued, downsizing. Claire will be moving into a condo in the city. We'll have a smaller place upstate. Okay, Anna said slowly. Do you need help packing? Silence. Anna, Mrs. Whitmore said, her voice careful. You're 21 now, legally an adult. We've fulfilled our commitment to you. The adoption was finalized 3 years ago. You have your trust fund. Wait. Anna's voice cracked. What? We gave you $10,000 when you turned 21, Mr. Whitmore said. You have your community college education. You've had 3 years of stability. That's more than most foster children get. Anna stood up, her legs shaking. You're kicking me out? We're helping you become independent, Mrs. Whitmore corrected. She's standing as well. We've arranged for you to stay at a transition house for 30 days while you find work and housing. It's all very reasonable. I thought I was your daughter. Anna's voice was barely a whisper. Claire looked away. You'll always be part of our story, Mrs. Whitmore said. But darling, you must understand. We have to prioritize our biological family now. The room tilted. Anna turned and walked out, not running, not crying, just walking. She heard Mrs. Whitmore call after her. Something about the transition coordinator will contact you. But it sounded like static. She made it to the guest house, packed a duffel bag with shaking hands and left. They didn't stop her. Anna walked for 3 hours. She didn't know where she was going, just away. Away from the estate, away from the fake smiles, and away from the bedroom that was never really hers. Her duffel bag grew heavier with each block, the strap cutting into her shoulder. By the time the sun started setting, she'd walked into a part of the city she didn't recognize. Neon signs in Korean and English flickered above restaurants and shops. The streets were narrower here, darker. Rain began to fall. She ducked under an awning, pulling out her phone. 7 missed calls from Mrs. Whitmore. Anna blocked the number. She opened her banking app with shaking fingers. The trust fund they'd mentioned, $10,000 3 years ago, was down to $847. She'd been using it for textbooks, basic necessities, anything the Whitmores said wasn't essential. $847. She laughed and it came out wrong. Half sob, half something broken. A group of men rounded the corner, their voices loud with alcohol. One of them noticed her, elbowed his friend. Anna's stomach dropped. She started walking again, faster now, the rain soaking through her sweater. Hey, one of them called. You lost. She didn't answer, just kept walking. Footsteps behind her getting closer. Her heart hammered. She turned down an alley. Stupid, she realized too late. So stupid. Looking for a way through to the next street. Dead end. She spun around. 3 of them blocked the alley entrance, spreading out like they had all the time in the world. We just want to talk, the tallest one said, grinning. Anna's back hit the brick wall. Her duffel bag slipped from her shoulder. Please, she whispered. I don't have anything valuable. Sure you do, another one laughed, stepping closer. She ran, not toward them, toward the wall, scrambling up a fire escape ladder, her hands slipping on wet metal. One of them grabbed her ankle. She kicked hard, felt her shoe connect with something, heard him curse. She made it up 3 rungs before her grip failed. Anna fell backward, her head cracking against the pavement. White light exploded behind her eyes. Pain, sharp and hot, bloomed across her skull. Through blurred vision, she saw them standing over her. One bent down, reaching for her bag. Then, headlights. Bright and sudden, flooding the alley. A car door opened. Footsteps, measured and deliberate. Leave! A man's voice speaking English with a Korean accent. Not loud, but absolute. This isn't your business, one of the men started. I said leave. Something in that voice made the hair on Anna's arms stand up, even through her dizziness. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. The men looked at each other, and then at the man in the black suit now standing at the alley entrance, rain dripping off his shoulders. Even through her fading consciousness, Anna could see he wasn't large, but something about the way he stood, the coldness in his eyes, made him feel dangerous. The men ran. Anna tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. The world spun. She felt blood trickling down her temple. The man approached slowly, crouching down beside her. His face came into focus. Sharp features, dark eyes that seemed to see too much. A jaw tight with controlled anger. Don't leave me here to die like they did, she whispered, the words spilling out before she could stop them. Her hand reached toward him instinctively. He didn't take it. Not yet. Who did this to you? She smiled bitterly, tasting blood. Ick, the people who called me daughter. Something flickered across his face. Recognition, maybe, or memory. His eyes moved to the small cut on her temple, then to her soaked clothes, the battered duffel bag. Can you stand? He asked. I don't know. He stood, pulled out his phone, and made a call in rapid Korean. Anna caught only a few words. Doctor, safe house now. I'm taking you somewhere, he said, slipping his phone away. You'll be treated, then we'll talk. I don't know you. Anna's vision was starting to fade at the edges. No, he agreed. But you're dying in my alley, and I don't leave people to die. He bent down and lifted her easily, one arm under her knees, the other supporting her back. Anna wanted to protest, to say she was fine, but she wasn't fine. She hadn't been fine for 3 years. What's your name? She managed to ask as he carried her toward the black car. Jin. Anna? Anna, he repeated, and something about the way he said it, careful, like it mattered, made her chest hurt worse than her head. He placed her gently in the back seat. The interior smelled like leather and expensive cologne. Everything was too clean, too pristine for someone like her to be bleeding in. I'll ruin your car, she mumbled. Jin's lips twitched, not quite a smile, but close. I've had worse stains. He climbed in beside her, pulling off his suit jacket and pressing it against her temple. Keep pressure on this. As the car pulled away from the alley, Anna felt herself slipping into unconsciousness. The last thing she heard was Jin's voice, speaking quietly to the driver in Korean. And the last thing she felt was his hand, just for a moment, steadying her shoulder so she wouldn't fall as the car turned. The last thing she thought was, why does a stranger's kindness hurt more than my family's cruelty? Anna woke to silk sheets and unfamiliar ceiling. For a disoriented moment, she thought she was back at the Whitmores. That yesterday had been a nightmare, that she'd wake up in her pool house bed and everything would be normal. Then the pain in her head reminded her. Normal was gone. She sat up slowly, her skull throbbing. The room around her was minimalist and expensive. Floor-to-ceiling windows showing a city skyline, modern furniture in blacks and grays, everything sharp and intentional. A glass of water and 2 pills sat on the nightstand with a note in precise handwriting. For the pain. And doctor says you have a mild concussion. Rest. Don't leave. Jay. Don't leave. Like she had anywhere to go. Anna took the pills and stood, her legs shaky. She was wearing clothes that weren't hers. Soft cotton pants and a t-shirt that was too large. Someone had changed her. Her face burned at the thought. The bedroom door opened before she could spiral further. A woman in her 50s entered, carrying a tray. You're awake. Good. She spoke with the same Korean accent as Jin, but her voice was warmer. I'm Mrs. Kang. I manage Mr. Choi's home. Sit. You need to eat. Mr. Choi? Jin, Mrs. Kang said, setting the tray on the bed. Rice porridge, tea, sliced fruit. He brought you here last night. Had Dr. Lee check you over? You're lucky. Could have been much worse. Anna sat carefully on the edge of the bed. Where is he? Working. Mrs. Kang handed her the porridge. Eat first, then we talk. The food was warm and simple and tasted better than anything Anna had eaten at the Whitmores' elaborate dinners. She hadn't realized how hungry she was. What kind of work does he do? Anna asked between bites. Mrs. Kang's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. The kind that requires discretion. Is he dangerous? To people who deserve it. Mrs. Kang began collecting Anna's dirty clothes from a chair. To you? No. Jin doesn't hurt people who are already broken. The words landed like a punch. Already broken. Is that what she was? I should go, Anna said quietly, setting down the bowl. I don't want to be anyone's charity case again. You think that's what this is? Mrs. Kang stopped, studying her. Child, Jin hasn't brought anyone to this home in the 8 years I've worked for him. Not friends, not women, not family. You're the first. That should tell you something. It tells me he pities me. Jin doesn't do pity, Mrs. Kang said. He does recognition. Before Anna could ask what that meant, The penthouse door opened. Jin's voice carried from the entrance, speaking in Korean. Sharp, commanding, the voice of someone used to being obeyed. Mrs. Kang called back in Korean, then looked at Anna. He wants to see you. Living room. Jin was standing by the windows when Anna entered, his back to her. He'd changed from the suit, now in black pants and a dark shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. Even relaxed, he looked coiled, ready. Sit, he said without turning. Anna remained standing. Thank you for helping me last night. But I should leave. Where will you go? The question hung in the air. Anna had no answer. Jin turned to face her. In daylight, she could see him clearly. The sharp intelligence in his dark eyes, the faint scar along his jaw, the way he looked at her like he was solving a puzzle. You have no money, he said. It wasn't a question. No family that wants you, no place to stay. Am I wrong? Anna's throat tightened. That's not your problem. No, Jin agreed. It's not. But I'm making it my problem. Why? The word came out harder than she intended. You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. Why does a stranger care more about whether I live or die than the people who adopted me? Something crossed Jin's face. Quick, painful, gone. He moved to the bar cart, poured himself whiskey even though it was barely noon. When I was 9, he said quietly, my father left me outside a convenience store in the winter. Said he'd be back in 10 minutes. I waited for 3 days. Anna's breath caught. Someone found me, not because they cared, but because I was bad for business, sitting there freezing. Jin took a drink. They took me to a group home. I ran away 6 times before I was 12. Built everything I have now from nothing because no one was coming to save me. He turned to look at her directly. Last night, in that alley, I saw myself. I saw a child everyone gave up on, trying to survive in a world that doesn't care. So don't ask me why I care, Anna. Ask yourself why they didn't. Anna felt tears burning behind her eyes. She refused to let them fall. What do you want from me? I want you to stay. For how long? Until you don't need to anymore. I don't understand, Anna whispered. People don't just help. There's always a cost. Jin set down his glass and crossed the room, stopping a few feet from her, close enough that she could see the scars on his knuckles. The exhaustion he hid well, the controlled loneliness that mirrored her own. The cost, he said, is that you stop believing you're disposable. You stay here. You heal. You let me help you find your footing. And in return, he paused. You remind me that caring doesn't have to make you weak. Anna's walls were cracking. She felt it happening and couldn't stop it. I don't know how to let someone protect me. I don't know how to protect someone without controlling them, Jin admitted. Hey, we'll figure it out. A phone buzzed. Jin pulled it out, his expression darkening as he read the message. What is it? Anna asked. Your former family, Jin said, his voice going cold. They're looking for you. Mrs. Whitmore filed a missing person report this morning. For the publicity, I'm guessing. Anna's stomach dropped. They don't want me back. They just don't want to look bad. Exactly. Jin looked at her with something dangerous in his eyes. Do you want me to make them stop? The question carried weight. Anna didn't know what he meant by make them stop. But part of her, the hurt, angry part she'd kept buried, wanted to say yes. I just want them to leave me alone, she said instead. Consider it done. Jin pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. They won't bother you again. How can you promise that? He smiled. But it wasn't kind. Because people like the Whitmores understand 2 things, money and fear, and I have more of both than they ever will. Anna should have been scared, should have run from this man who spoke so casually about making problems disappear. Instead, she felt safe for the first time in 3 years. That terrified her more than anything. 3 days passed in Jin's penthouse, and Anna began to understand the careful architecture of his life. He left early, always before sunrise, Mrs. Kang said, and returned late, smelling like rain and something darker she couldn't name. When he was home, he was quiet, moving through the space like a ghost in his own life. But he noticed things. On the second day, Anna had been reading on the couch. a book from his extensive library. When Jin came home, he'd paused, looked at the title, and the next morning there were 3 more books by the same author on the coffee table. On the third day, she'd mentioned she missed cooking. That evening, Mrs. Kang had shown her the kitchen, fully stocked, and said, "Mr. Choi says you can use whatever you want." Small gestures, careful, like he was learning how to care for someone without suffocating them. Anna wasn't sure what to do with that. Anna couldn't sleep. The concussion had healed, but her mind hadn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard Mrs. Whitmore's voice. "We have to prioritize our biological family now." At 2 a.m., she gave up and padded into the kitchen for water. Jin was there, sitting at the island in the dark, a glass of whiskey in front of him. He didn't startle when she entered. "Can't sleep either?" Anna asked softly. "Anna, I don't sleep much." He gestured to the seat beside him. "Join me." She sat, leaving a careful space between them. The city glittered beyond the windows, thousands of lives she'd never touch. "Can I ask you something?" Anna said. "You can ask. I might not answer." "What do you actually do?" "Mrs. Kang won't tell me, and I've been here 4 days living in your home, and I don't even know." "I run an organization," Jin interrupted, his voice careful. "We control certain business interests in the Korean district. Real estate, nightclubs, imports, some legal, some less so." Anna processed that. "You're a criminal. I'm a businessman in a world where the law doesn't protect people like me." He took a drink. "My father was a criminal. He beat my mother, stole from his own family, abandoned his son in the street. When I'm a criminal who protects the people in my territory, who makes sure families can walk home safely at night, who built schools and funded clinics, we're not the same. You've killed people." It wasn't a question. Jin's jaw tightened. "Yes." Anna should have been horrified, should have run. Instead, she asked, "Did they deserve it?" He looked at her then, really looked at her, surprise flickering across his usually controlled features. "Every single one." "Okay," Anna said simply. "Okay?" Jin's eyebrows rose. "That's it. The Whitmores were legal, respectable, charitable, and they threw me away like trash." Anna's voice stayed steady. "You're supposedly dangerous, and you're the only person who's treated me like I matter. So forgive me if I'm not impressed by legality anymore." Something shifted in Jin's expression. A wall coming down, just slightly. "You're not afraid of me," he said, and it sounded like a realization. "I'm terrified of you," Anna corrected. "Just not for the reasons you think." "What reasons?" She looked down at her hands. "Because you make me feel like I could stay, like I could belong somewhere. And every time I've felt that before, it's been ripped away." The silence stretched between them, heavy with things neither knew how to say. "I was engaged once," Jin said suddenly. 7 years ago. Her name was Haiwan." Anna's breath caught. He'd never volunteered personal information before. "She was a prosecutor. Didn't know what I did, not really. I thought I could keep that part of my life separate. It'd be someone normal for her." Jin's fingers tightened around his glass. "Then a rival organization found out about her. Used her to get to me. What happened? I got there in time. Saved her." Jin's smile was bitter. "She looked at me covered in blood, standing over the men who tried to kill her, and she saw the truth. What I really was." She left that night. Married a lawyer 6 months later. "I'm sorry," Rihanna whispered. "Don't be." She was right to leave. "I'm not built for love, Anna. I'm built for survival. Everything I touch, I destroy or control. It's the only way I know how to protect things." Anna reached out, slowly giving him time to pull away, and placed her hand over his scarred knuckles. Jin froze. "You haven't destroyed me," Anna said quietly. "You haven't controlled me. You've just been here." "Ax, that's all I needed." His hand turned under hers, palm up, and their fingers interlaced. The touch was electric. Terrifying, right? "I don't know how to do this," Jin admitted, his voice rough. "How to care about someone without owning them, without pushing them away before they can leave. I don't know how to let someone care about me without waiting for the abandonment," Anna said, "without believing I'm temporary." "You're not temporary." How do you know? Jin's free hand came up, gentle, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was so tender it made her chest ache. Because temporary people don't make me want to be better, he said. They don't make me question everything I've built. They don't make me come home early just to make sure they're still here. Anna's heart hammered. My Jin, I know this is complicated, he continued, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. I know I'm not what you should want. I'm dangerous and broken, and I've done unforgivable things. But Anna, his voice dropped to a whisper. When I look at you, I don't see someone I saved. I see someone who's saving me. She leaned into his touch, her eyes closing. What are we doing? Something stupid, Jin admitted. Something that could hurt us both. Should we stop? His forehead pressed against hers and she felt him breathe her in. I don't think I can. Neither could she. They sat like that, foreheads touching, hands intertwined, breathing the same air, until the sun started to rise over the city. Not kissing, not yet, just existing in the same space, letting the connection settle into something real. When Mrs. Kang arrived at 6 a.m., she found them asleep on the couch. Anna's head on Jin's shoulder, his arm wrapped protectively around her. She smiled and quietly started making breakfast. Some broken things, she thought, were meant to find each other. For 2 weeks, Anna lived in a strange, suspended happiness. Jin taught her the city, not the tourist version, but his version. Late-night noodle shops where everyone knew his name and nodded respectfully. Rooftop gardens hidden between buildings. The pier at dawn when the fishermen came in. He was teaching her his world piece by piece, and she was letting him. They hadn't kissed, hadn't crossed that final line. But Jin's hand found hers when they walked. He stayed home more. She caught him watching her sometimes with an expression that made her feel seen in a way she'd never experienced. Anna was falling. Terrifyingly, to irreversibly falling. She should have known it couldn't last. Anna was chopping vegetables for dinner when Jin's phone rang. She heard him answer in Korean, heard his voice go sharp, then ice cold. He appeared in the kitchen doorway, his expression unreadable. We need to talk. Anna set down the knife, her stomach dropping. What happened? The Whitmores. Jin's jaw tightened. They're not backing down. Mrs. Whitmore is doing press interviews, painting herself as a devastated mother whose troubled adopted daughter disappeared. She's filed legal action to access your trust fund, claiming you're mentally unstable and need a conservatorship. The room tilted. She can't do that. She can try, and with the right judge, the right publicity. Jin's hands clenched into fists. She's turning you into a story she can control. I'm making money off your pain. Anna's breath came short. Why? Why can't they just let me go? Because letting you go means admitting they threw you away. This way, they're the heroes trying to save you. Jin crossed to her, his hands gentle on her shoulders. I can make this stop, Anna. Permanently. Something in his voice made her look up sharply. What does that mean? It means I have information on Mr. Whitmore's business dealings. Fraud, tax evasion, things that would destroy him. One phone call, and they'll never bother you again. That's blackmail. Yes. Anna stepped back from his touch. You said you wouldn't control me. I'm protecting you. By making my choices for me. Anna's voice rose. By handling everything so I don't have to face it. That's not protection, Jin. That's control. That's what the Whitmores did. Decided what was best for me without asking. Jin's expression shuddered. This is different. How? Because you care about me? That doesn't give you the right to fight my battles without asking. You want to face them yourself? Jin's voice went cold. The dangerous voice she'd heard in the alley. Go ahead. Walk into their lawyer's office. Let them drag you through court. Paint you as unstable and ungrateful. Let them win because you're too proud to accept help. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Jin exploded, the control finally cracking. You think I don't know that? You think I don't see you flinching every time someone raises their voice, or the way you apologize for taking up space, or how you still don't believe you deserve to stay here? Anna's eyes burned. Then why do you want me to? Because I love you. The words tore out of him, raw and desperate. Because for the first time in my life, I come home to someone who makes this empty place feel like more than just walls. Because you look at me like I'm not a monster. Because I'm terrified that if I don't protect you from everything, you'll disappear like everyone else I've ever. He stopped, breathing hard. The silence was deafening. You love me, Anna whispered. Jin turned away, his shoulders rigid. Forget I said that. No. Anna crossed to him, her hand on his arm, pulling until he faced her. You love me, but you don't trust me to fight beside you. You love me, but you'd rather control the situation than let me make my own choices. Even if they're messy or painful or wrong. I can't lose you. Then stop trying to protect me from everything, including myself. Tears spilled down Anna's cheeks. I've been handled and managed and decided for my entire life. I need someone who believes I'm strong enough to survive my own battles. You are strong enough, Jin said roughly. You're the strongest person I've ever met. That's what terrifies me. Why? Because strong people don't need broken men who only know how to survive through violence. His voice cracked. You'll heal, Anna. You'll realize you deserve better than this. Better than me. And you'll leave. Just like she did. Anna's heart shattered and reformed in the same moment. She understood now. This wasn't about the Whitmores. It was about a 9-year-old boy waiting outside a convenience store. A man who'd learned that loving people meant losing them. I'm not Haiwan, Anna said firmly, and you're not your father. Jin's eyes closed. I see you, Jin. All of you. The violence and the gentleness. The control and the care. The man who'd burn down the world to protect me and the man who leaves books on my nightstand. Anna cupped his face, making him look at her. I'm not leaving, but I need you to let me stand on my own 2 feet, even if I stumble. Even if it's hard to watch. I don't know if I can do that. Then we'll learn together. She pressed her forehead to his. Let me face the Whitmores my way. Stand beside me, not in front of me. Can you do that? Jin's hands came up to frame her face, trembling slightly. If they hurt you, then I'll hurt and I'll survive it. Because I'm not the girl they threw away anymore. Anna's voice strengthened. I'm the woman who survived in an alley, who stayed when she could have run, who fell in love with a dangerous man and isn't afraid of it. You love me? Jin's voice was barely audible. Terrifyingly, completely. Yes. He kissed her then, desperate and gentle and certain. It tasted like whiskey and tears and coming home. Anna melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt, pouring everything she couldn't say into the kiss. When they broke apart, Jin pressed his lips to her forehead. Okay, okay? We do this your way, together. He pulled back to look at her. But I'm hiring you the best lawyer in the city. That's non-negotiable. Anna smiled through her tears. Deal. Anna stood outside the courthouse, Jin's hand warm in hers. Inside, her lawyer had just finished dismantling the Whitmore's case. No conservatorship, no access to her trust fund. And Anna had looked Mrs. Whitmore in the eye and said, I forgive you, but I don't need you anymore. The freedom in those words had been staggering. How do you feel? Jin asked as they walked toward his car. Like I can breathe, Anna said. Then she stopped, turning to face him. I've been thinking. Dangerous, Jin teased, but his eyes were soft. I want to go back to school, finish my degree, maybe study social work, help kids in the system. Anna bit her lip. It'll take time. I'll need to work part-time, and I know living with you has been temporary. Anna. Jin stepped closer, tucking hair behind her ear in that gesture she'd come to crave. Nothing about you has ever been temporary. Move in properly. Not as someone I'm helping, as someone I'm choosing every single day. You mean that? I had Mrs. Kang convert my office into a study for you last week. There are bookshelves, a desk by the window. I might have overstepped. Anna kissed him, cutting off his nervous rambling. Show me. The study was perfect. Soft lighting, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves already half-filled with titles she'd mentioned wanting to read. A desk positioned to catch the morning sun. On the desk sat a single key and a note in Jin's precise handwriting. Home isn't a place. It's choosing to stay when you finally could leave. Thank you for choosing me. Jay. Anna picked up the key, tears blurring her vision. Behind her, Jin wrapped his arms around her waist, chin resting on her shoulder. I have something else, he murmured. Jin? This is already... He turned her around, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a simple silver ring with a single dark stone. It's not an engagement ring, Jin said quickly. It's a promise that I'll stand beside you, not in front of you. That I'll trust you to be strong even when it scares me. That home is wherever you are. Anna slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. I have a promise too, she said, hands framing his face. That I'm not going anywhere. That you're not too broken to be loved. That we get to choose our own family now. Jin kissed her slowly, reverently, like she was something precious he'd finally learned how to hold without breaking. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, two people who'd been abandoned by the world they were born into had built something new. Not perfect, not easy, but undeniably, irrevocably theirs. Mrs. Kang knocked softly on the doorframe. Dinner in 20 minutes, and Jin, your mother called. She wants to meet Anna. Jin tensed. Anna squeezed his hand. Together? She asked. He exhaled, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. Together? They had scars, they had histories that would always hurt, but they also had each other, and the choice to keep choosing each other. That, Anna thought as Jin led her toward whatever came next, was the only family that had ever mattered. If you've made it this far, you've witnessed something rare. Two broken people choosing to heal together instead of alone. Drop a comment if you've ever found home in the last place you expected. And if this story reminded you that being abandoned doesn't mean you're unlovable, you're not alone. None of us are.